Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast. Here's your host, Logan Bailey.
Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast, football edition, brought to you by our primary sponsor, BSN Sports. I'm your host, Logan Bailey, and joined today by Keith Brown, AJ Fairchild, and Tony Fairchild. So, guys, thanks again for joining me today.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely. One last time.
Glad that everyone was able to make it. Everyone's alive. They're
Finally,
doing well.
I'm here. I feel like I've been missing for about 2 months.
So, yeah, they're almost had to start posting wanted photos of where Keith was.
Exactly.
People are asking questions. So,
Home on my couch.
Yep. So glad everyone's healthy, everyone's doing well, and we're able to join for the final podcast of the season, where we're going to talk, season recap just a little bit, and postseason awards, and kind of sum up the season. So, you guys want to start with playoff coverage? We went to a lot of different playoff games. Myself, started off with, we all were at the Sonora and Cary game. Yep. So we were at that one, and then we kind of split and did a split session. Yep. AJ and Tony had went to Liberty Center and Liberty Benton. And myself, I went to Fairview and Ottawa Hills. Just kind of talking about that one. Ottawa Hills and the turf, kind of an old retro, kind of Astro turf looking kind of field. So that was pretty interesting. That was a solid facility too. I got to see a lot of really good athletes from Fairview. Logan Olinger. I tell you what, though, for years to come, he's going to be a solid player. I was really impressed with him. Obviously, Zedike. I got a bunch of other receivers. The Meade kid was really solid too, and definitely a favorite, I think, next season to potentially go in, contend for the region. So, and then you guys went. I know we had talked about this a little bit before. You guys went to Liberty Center, Liberty Benton, and that was a solid game there.
Yeah, solid game. Just kind of went back and forth there a little bit. Liberty Center was able to pull that one out at the end with an interception. But yeah, just neat being in that atmosphere over at Liberty Center for a playoff game. And
then I'm trying to think. After that, we went to, was it
Finley?
Yes.
Grove.
We saw PH and Hopewell Loudon, which that was pretty good environment too. Hopewell Loudon was undefeated in the 1 seed in the region, and again, we had kind of thought too, even though Hopewell Loudon was the 1 seed, I think PH was probably the favorite going in there. They were playing the best football of the season.
Yep.
Lincoln Krieger was playing really well. Cal Schroeder was doing really well too. Schrader. I still have to laugh about that. I asked him how you pronounce his name, because I know everyone's very particular on that last name, and he told me one way, and he goes, "You know what? You can say it the other way." I said, "Really? I've never had anyone tell me that before." So I kind of cracked up at that when I did his post game interview. But coaching staff was great. We talked to George. So we talked to him a little bit at the end, Aaron George, and good to see him. And, got a couple good interviews there. What were your guys' thoughts on that game?
Yeah, they just stifled their, Hopewell Loudon's offense. They kept all those interceptions.
Probably one of the best defensive performances that I've ever seen in a football game, in person. But they have 5 interceptions, I think at half or something like that. It was incredible.
It was 6. I think they had 5 at halftime.
Yeah, I mean, those defensive backs, and even Jaden Punches on the defensive line, he got an interception too, kind of snagged one, dropping into coverage. So that was pretty solid. And then we got Miller's Meats there too.
Yeah.
That was solid.
Awesome.
That was a game I started getting sick.
Yeah, Coach French
right before the game.
You were zonked out in the car on the way back.
On the way back, I was crashed.
That was when we were trying to watch the Tyson and Jake Paul fight too, but it was buffering like 60 million other people around the world trying to watch the same thing. So then after that, we went to what game was that?
It was Columbus Grove. After that.
Well, we went that's right. Columbus Grove and Marion Local. Or no, we went to
Liberty Center. Watched Liberty Center play at Lake.
And the hospitality there was amazing. That hospitality room and the layout. You walk into this room, and I liked how they had it set up. It was a wrestling room, but it's right there on the field. You could go in, warm up. They had all huge potluck, and I think you had someone tell you, you got to check it out, because he was related to the AD.
Yeah,
he's like, you guys got to go check out the hospitality room for the media.
Yep,
it's incredible. They did a fabulous job at putting out a great spread there, and that's when we kind of got to talk to a lot of the Liberty Center fans, which we know a lot of them, and talk to Mark and the guys, and good kind of connecting with those guys. And
that was a fabulous game. Liberty Center come out with allowed them to go down and score in like 4 plays. We kind of looked at each other like, that was not the way Liberty Center wants to start. Yep. And I just remember AD going, well, they did it in 4, Liberty Center did it in 2. So Liberty Center
came right back and scored 2
plays.
Yeah. First 6 of the plays of the game, and there was already 6 to 7, I think. was?
6-7 because they missed the extra point.
Yep,
You're right.
They missed it. And LC got it. I'm like, oh, that could be huge, and then it ended up not mattering because LC never gave up another touchdown.
Yeah, LC tried to get a running clock on him, couldn't quite get it.
And that was a game too. I thought it was going to be close, but and people thought the option was they kind of ran a little bit of an option that was going to give Liberty Center trouble because they haven't faced anything like it all year long. But I mean, the O-line, D-line, every aspect of that game was dominated by Liberty Center, and really kind of shocked us. I think after coming off barely winning against Oak Harbor the week prior, and so again, and that kind of led to their their run all the way down to state. Then week 15, we went to Marion Local in Columbus Grove and talked to Ned and Coach Schaefer and the boys over in Grove. So it was always good to see them. But man, I tell you what, Marion Local is a buzzsaw, and we kind of led to that eventually led to their state championship where they won 74-0. And I was at that game. It's incredible. They could have hung 120 points on their opponent if they wanted to of Hillsdale in the championship game. But Grove put up a pretty good fight. That's just one of those teams. I even remember when I played my senior year, we ran into Marion Local, same game, state semifinals, and I think we ended up losing, 34-12 or 14 or something like that. But it's a different monster down there in the MAC for sure.
Yeah, that team is just unbelievable the way they're just methodical with the way they do things. But, that game, Columbus Grove, and honestly, I think Columbus Grove had a really good chance. They drove the ball right down the field on when they first drive and just couldn't quite punch it in. And they came away with 0 points, and then Marion Local went right down the field and scored. And then a couple miscues on the kickoffs gave Marion Local a ball back, like bang, bang. They got the ball back, they scored, and they got the ball back again. And that was when it got dangerous for Columbus Grove.
And Grove were 2 kickoff turnovers.
It's
really rare that happens. Like 2 of them that I think one of them went off a guy's leg back to Marion Local.
Well, his face mask.
Was it?
One of his face masks. That's when he tried to take it for a touchdown and said, you can't advance it.
Yeah. Well, that was the second one. Yeah,
that was the second one.
The first one I think was a
pooch.
like a pooch kick that went off the guy's leg.
Just didn't get up there and catch it. And
that's what I was going to say, too. Grove made Marion Local make mistakes. I mean, Marion Local turned the ball over, I think, like 3 times that game. They had a couple picks and a couple fumbles, I think, too.
Columbus Grove was in position, too. There was a couple times where they just going up and the ball's going right through the hands. And, so I think that game could have gone a little different if Grove had just made a couple of those plays that they had the opportunity to make. Could have made a little bit of a difference in the game. Would they have won it? I don't know. But Grove definitely had a good team. And just, Marion Local was just that kind of team.
By far the coldest game that we went to all year, for sure. I was freezing.
Yeah.
I didn't bring gloves or a face mask type thing. I thought I was going to be okay, and I learned quickly that my hand warmers were not warm enough. So I made sure I ordered a new pair of gloves because I couldn't find mine from last year, and I had my mask on next week, and I got rechargeable hand warmers. I tell you what, though, if you're going to any game outdoors, rechargeable hand warmers are the best. They get warmer and hotter than regular hand warmers. You don't have to deal with all the black stuff getting all over. And they last forever. I mean, when I brought them down to state, they lasted the entire day.
Oh, wow.
It's incredible.
Awesome.
For $17, you can't beat that. So you'll definitely get your money's worth out of rechargeable hand warmers. So I definitely recommend those.
The one thing that I saw at the Marion Local Columbus Grove game that was like, to me, was kind of like, really? Marion Local and their sideline, you were talking about how cold it was. Marion Local had 8 salamanders, heaters, whatever you want to call them, from the 25 to the 25. They had 8 heaters spaced out in that distance. So those kids weren't even cold on that side of the field. They had every place they went, they had heat. It wasn't like you see teams bring 2 and the kids huddle around this one, and then when the ball goes on the other end, they'll huddle around that one. Marion Local had the whole field covered. They were warm the whole way down.
How about the buses the fans took? I've never seen that before. The Marion Local fans took buses down to the game, and they all went and huddled up on the bus at halftime and warmed up, and they kind of all stormed the field right before halftime too. So that was something that I've never seen before. Fans taking a bunch of buses to the game, but I guess if you're Marion Local and you're on your way to winning your 15th state championship, I guess you do that kind of stuff.
Guess you figure it out.
That's right. And then after all that, we ended up going down to state in Canton, and I got down there Friday morning. I got watched Marion Local, and they could have easily had the record, which I record for, I don't know if it was division. I think it was just a state championship game with 77 points held by Delphos St. John's in 2010, I believe, is what I was told by other media members. So they came up just short. They scored 74 points. I honestly felt bad for Hillsdale. I mean, Hillsdale, I'm sure was a good team coming into that game, but
It was like 60-0 at the half.
60-0 at halftime, and Marion Local only had the ball for I think like 5 minutes because they would score on pick sixes and they had a punt return and everything else in between. And
it was like 5 minutes, like 20 seconds, like whatever, 12 minutes that Hillsdale had it.
It's incredible. I mean, that was absolutely amazing. And people said too that was the best Marion Local team that they probably ever had, and they graduated a large senior class, and like Coach Goodwin said, a lot of those kids will be missed. So watch that game, and then the next game after that is I hung out at the stadium all day and watched the Toledo Central Catholic and the Bishop Watterson game, and that was a really solid game. Toledo Central Catholic, I believe, was looking for their third consecutive state championship.
So,
and back and forth. That game came down to the fourth quarter. A couple big plays. It was one play where Bishop Watterson, their running back, was really solid, and he scored on like a 40-yard rushing touchdown. It was really cool because I was right there in the end zone. He ran right up to me. I got a good shot of him for highlight video, and so it was cool to see him celebrating. And then, boom, next play, Toledo Central Catholic gets a kickoff return. They run it in for a touchdown for 80, 90-yard return. So back and forth. That game was a great game. Glad I got to see that one. And then you guys joined me for the night game.
Yep.
Division I, and that was pretty awesome too. Olentangy Liberty and Archbishop Moeller. Moeller was the heavy favorites, I believe. On Drew Pastor, they were
I think it was like 21
point favorites, and huge, heavy favorite in the game. And Olentangy Liberty came out and played really well, and a little bit disappointed to see Archbishop Moeller's quarterback. He was voted the Mr. Football for the state of Ohio as a junior. Didn't really play all that well, but Liberty's quarterback was lights out. They had a receiver that played really well too, and we talked to a Olentangy Liberty fan a little bit, and he was trying to talk to us about Northwest Ohio and where things were at, and he had no idea what he was talking about. What was he talking about? Oh, he's asking where Liberty Center. He was talking about Liberty Center because he thought, I guess he sold products or is a salesman. And he sold in Northwest Ohio. And he's like, he's trying to think of the town. And he thought it was Liberty Center that he sold in. And then he found out it was Ottawa. And he's like, Ottawa and Liberty Center, that's pretty close to each other. And I'm like, I don't think so.
Not really.
Probably what, an hour apart?
I
don't know, 45 minutes probably.
OG's in Putnam County and Liberty Center's in Henry County. There's a little bit of a difference there.
That's
so,
awesome.
But yeah, talked to him for a while, and crowd was pretty solid. I was actually kind of shocked though. The comparison. I think out of all the games, I'd have to look. Liberty Center, after all of them, I didn't see what the final Division IV game attendance was. I wonder if you guys want to look
Division
that up. Maybe
the Division V when Liberty Center was there. I never saw that one.
That had the most. I think that had 4,007 or 800 people. All the others were like
that was Liberty's game.
Yeah, all the other ones were like low 4,000s. But
one more thing about the Cincinnati Moeller game, we were walking up and down the sidelines, and I tell you what, they had the benches set up in a V. And they have a table set there. It had like a 50-inch TV on it, and the coach is scrolling through his iPad, pulling stuff up on
it was
screen.
incredible.
I'm like, this is next level stuff here,
It's
man.
like a college setup. So I guess we didn't really get a chance to talk to you about this, Keith.
College side.
They got the benches set up like a V, and that's typically like what we did in college. It's easier to talk to, and you can get everyone huddled up. But they had two 50-inch TVs that they set up, angled towards each bench. The one coach, and Bishop Watterson did the same thing too, or Toledo Central Catholic had the same setup too. Like one screen had, they were looking at one angle, the other screen was looking at a different video angle, and then they were like breaking it down on Huddle, and I think they were drawing up stuff or whatever. But it was
like watching a big screen TV in your living room.
Yeah,
wow,
it was crazy.
Man, it was
so
nuts. We walked by there. I'm like, wow, check this out. Some big boys too. I mean, that's you're talking about Division I. You're talking about the bigger kids, and it's some big boys, but.
I like probably Archbishop Moeller's uniforms the best out of all of them. All white and very crisp and clean, and I like those quite a bit.
I kind of like the Olentangies. They were blue, kind of like
blue.
the Lions.
Yeah, they kind of were a little bit. Trying to think what else I was going to say too, but going back to the sideline, the way they had it set up too. There's no way teams around here could do that because of the staff that they had.
Yeah.
I mean, those teams have probably 15 guys on staff that are helping out or coaching some, and then they can, I'm sure they probably got another 4 or 5 guys up in the box able to relay all the information down to the field too. But that was pretty incredible, kind of an eye-opening experience to see that they actually had that in high school football.
That's what AJ goes. AJ goes, we're going to do this at Sonora. I'm like, yeah, where are you going to get the people to settle this up?
Oh, no, I knew that wasn't.
I'm like, yeah, plus you have to have a crew of 10 people up in the box, like you said. You're relaying all that information down, and we struggle getting our huddle camera to work.
I had pulled up the attendance for the game. So the Liberty Center game was actually the second highest behind the Division 4.
I was wondering, as I said, Division 4, I know a lot of people were rolling in for that.
Yeah.
What did each game have?
Starting at Division 1 here, it was 4,814. Division 2 was 4,911. Division 3 was 4,400. I'll skip Division 4 real quick. Division 5 was 4,981. Division 6, 3,472. Division 7 was 4,284. So Division 4 had 7,350 people there. So yeah,
But the
that was a big game.
crazy thing is, I don't know if you guys watched. I think I saw it when we went. We also went to the Hall of Fame Museum too, and we can talk about that for a minute or whatever. But the crowds that used to be at these games, I thought I read somewhere it was like upwards of 15 to 20,000 people.
Well,
but a lot of it's like when like Massillon plays, which Massillon's not too far away, and they bring a huge crowd. But what were you saying, AJ?
Well, they talked about Division 2 was 4,911 people this year, but last year it had been the largest since 2015 with 14,000 people last year. So it dropped that much.
Who was in that game? Did it say? I think Massillon might have made it.
Top here. Yeah, I'm not sure on that one.
All I know is at Liberty Center, that game was with only 5,000 people there. That was pretty loud. It got pretty loud at times.
Yeah.
It was,
that
was pretty good.
You look at both fan bases, Ironton and Liberty Center, very much alike.
Yep.
Very
same colors.
Football, same colors. One's the Tigers, one's the Fighting Tigers. The same exact colors.
Yep.
They both had very passionate fans. They're both football communities. Yep. Something too is Ironton's facility is just as nice as Liberty Center's.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a solid.
Oh, it beats Liberty Center's. I mean,
saw the pictures of it.
It's a massive facility with massive stands all the way around it and things like that.
But I don't know. Do they have lights that blink and strobe to music? I don't know. Liberty Center might have the advantage there.
It looks like I'm not sure if it's their home or away, but one side actually has like a cover,
an overhang
awning over it. Yep.
So, anyways, that was an incredible experience going down there, and then went to the Hall of Fame Museum, which is awesome to go in there. Got to see the Super Bowl trophy for this year.
Wow. Awesome.
They have that there on display. So it'll be gone in a few weeks.
Yeah.
They'll be coming to get it. So that was kind of neat.
Nice.
There's a lot of different things that we learned too, and a lot of stuff you can make quiz questions about. That's for sure. And I think the best part of it is probably my favorite was going into that like immersive experience where you go into this locker room and it's got lights and sounds, and it's like you're sitting in an actual locker room, and players are talking like you're in a locker room, and then it's got these holograms that talk to you too, and that was really cool. Really disappointed in that other show that we went to. That was worthless. It was supposed to be a show. Last time when I played my last year at Findlay, our coaches took us to it because we used to play at the Hall of Fame Stadium to play Walsh and Malone, stuff like that. Well, they don't play there anymore, but the coaches still wanted to take us, and it was like you sit in a theater, and it would take you through, like at that time the Chiefs had won the Super Bowl. So it kind of takes you by the games and behind the scenes look at the team and some different action shots from the year. But this whole thing would rotate around. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. Yeah. Like you follow the teams. Literally when we went, no rotation, no movement, which that was boring.
It was movie screen.
And you're just watching some highlights from the last year's NFL season. It was like 2 minutes long. I'm like, and at the end we kind of all look at each other like, what the heck did we just watch for 2 minutes?
Yeah, so. No rhyme or reason to it, really.
But it was a pretty good time. And of course I forgot something. I forgot my coat at the hotel before the game, and so had to run back. Good thing we were only down the road at Canton Airport at whatever, the Hilton Inn or whatever. Yeah. And so it was a good time. I don't know. You guys have any other points from that? No. I really enjoyed it. I mean, the hospitality from the OHSA was really solid too.
Yeah. Good food.
They fed us, well, lunch and dinner, and
I do have to say, for as much media that goes to these games, that room was about as honestly no bigger than the room we're in right now.
Oh yeah, probably.
You're talking for the
maybe a little bit bigger?
Photographers and videographers. Yeah, there's a lot of people jammed in that room. That's for sure. So
dozens and dozens of cameras and stuff just sitting around, all piled on a table that somehow was less organized than this is right now. I don't know how anybody knew whose stuff was whose.
Dude, they just walked out, left it all there. That was what was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, they
there's
just
only
trusted each
ever
other.
like
I mean, it's
2 or 3 people in
unbelievable,
that
but-
room.
Yeah, I was kind of the same too. Like at first, I'm looking around. I'm like, people are just leaving thousands of dollars worth of gear here, and
Tens of thousands.
I
of
crossed my
dollars.
fingers and I left my because I don't want to carry this stuff
Right.
all around. I mean, that stuff's heavy on my back, but I crossed my fingers, and luckily everyone held each other accountable. But yeah, I mean, we talked to the lenses, and you know, I've got some nice equipment from the sponsorships and stuff to take. That's how I produce these really nice videos for, you know, all the schools. But we were walking on the sideline, and I think one of these guys had a huge lens, and I'm like, that lens right there is $50,000. I looked it up, and I'm like, the lens is literally as much as a brand new vehicle.
Yeah.
But a lot of those guys will rent them out because there's no way that people can, you know, everyone can
right.
afford those type of things. But
Well,
I'm
then
like,
that one guy
holy
got
smokes.
The one guy got smoked. Remember?
Yeah, he
Thrown on the
did.
sideline.
That's another
D1
thing. If
game.
you're
Got
media,
smashed.
if you're media on the sideline and you're taking photographs or you're taking videos, you got to be paying attention because that kid got smashed, and I don't think his lens got broke. It broke the hood of it, which is
Yeah.
like that front thing.
Oh,
I don't think the lens actually
Yeah,
broke,
maybe
but.
not.
Referee's yelling, "Let him up! Let go! Let him go! Let him go!" Boom! And the guy went flying backwards.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that guy's he's probably crying more about his lens than he was his own health because those things aren't cheap. So,
Get ran over.
all right. Well, that was kind of a recap. I know we want to talk about things just a little bit. We haven't been together for quite a while, so we're going to release our NWO Sports All-Area Football Team, and this is where we kind of decide as a unit of who we want to vote for these different accolades. We'll start with the big awards for Players and Coach of the Year and things like that, and then we'll release our first and second team, all NWO Sports teams. Honorable mention I'll release later as we kind of determine those. But let's get things started here.
Hey, do we want to back up and talk about the state championship game at all?
Oh, yeah, we can talk about that.
I don't know if you want to cut this or add it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just want to talk about the game a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, like with Liberty Center, you know, they played a fantastic game, you know, and just, you know, they ran against Ironton, and Ironton, they were the real deal. You know, everybody had kind of been talking about, you know, this is going to be a smash mouth football game, and they're going to be punching each other in the face, and you know, that's kind of what it was. It was just kind of smacking each other in the mouth, back and forth, and you know, they had that Sean Terry kid, and
Incredible athlete.
I almost
He
feel like
hurdled-
he was more finesse than he was very. I mean, just athletic in general.
Yeah.
Like
If he was
Elusive and-
about 3 inches taller, and I think he's listed at 5'10", he would be going big time. Like, I mean, Missouri,
Missouri.
he's going to
His-
Missouri, which is solid, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think if he was, you know, 3 inches taller, he'd be going to like, I think Michigan was recruiting him.
Yeah, I mean, that would
like
be-
Ohio State or,
Yep.
and that was a question. A lot of people were wondering, why didn't Ohio State recruit him? I think it's probably because of his height. I mean,
Yeah.
I think teams kind of look at that and they're kind of turned off that, you know, 5'10", okay. I mean,
I don't know, man. That dude's fast, but he was a real deal. And he hurdled what was it, Mueller, that kind of slipped on that one play, then jumped back up and tried to tackle him, and he just hurtled right over
and
top of
I
him.
found out too because we kind of asked, you know, how was that legal? Did you guys ever hear about why?
yeah, it's
No.
because he was still on the ground.
Because he was on
Yeah.
the ground,
He wasn't on his feet.
and because I went back and watched the play, and Moeller
Slipped.
He slipped,
Yep.
and then he tried to lunge and try to tackle him. If Moeller was on both of his feet and Terry tried to hurdle him, that would be illegal.
Okay.
But because Moeller was not on both of his feet, that's how it was
Gotcha.
legal in high school.
All right.
Because that was a question we all looked at.
Yeah.
And
Like, was that
we're
legal?
Like, how was that? I thought it was illegal in high school, but yeah, it's
I
because
mean,
he
a
was
great
not on
play,
his feet.
made the ESPN.
Yeah.
Made the
Yeah.
ESPN top
Hurdled
three.
a guy, juked out another guy, and was able to score.
Yeah, but you know, just talking about Liberty Center a little more, just what a fantastic team, and you know, we were sitting there thinking, man, it's just they're climbing a mountain, and you know, they were behind, and they kept fighting, and they were behind, they kept fighting, and just you know, you're there at the end, the clock's running down, they still got their timeouts, and all of a sudden, Ironton out of the, I mean, the graces of the great man upstairs, fumbles the ball, gives Liberty Center a breath of fresh air. Like, oh my gosh,
Well, it was
they could actually win this.
It was after they tried onside kicking the football,
Yeah,
right?
right,
And
yep.
they didn't get it back. So everyone's kind of wondering, like, oh man, like
There's only a couple minutes left, like 2.5
yeah,
minutes.
I think it's
like
about
that.
2.5.
and you know, Ironton's going into 4-minute offense or running the ball, trying to
Yep.
milk the clock, and yeah, like you said, they fumbled the football, and
The one
Could not
thing they
believe
can't do in that situation is
Yeah,
fumble
could
the
not
ball.
believe it. Trying
and
to
at
make
that
them burn
point
the
it was
timeouts.
what, less than a 1-score game?
Yeah. Yeah, 6
or I
points.
mean not less. I mean it was like a 1-score game.
Yeah, it was 4 points.
4 points because they went for 2 and got
yeah,
it.
4 points. They went for the 2 and got it, and then
And they had all their timeouts left
yeah,
too.
so their timeouts, and you know, and like I remember turning around to AJ like, oh my gosh, the one thing they can't do, and like I don't know what happened. Like he tried to go down the line, and like he ran into a lineman with
Yeah,
the
I
ball,
think
and
the
just
guard pulled
dropped
too
it.
quickly and knocked the ball from his hands.
Yeah,
the way it
and,
looked.
it just, and, so we thought, Liberty Center, here they come, they got their opportunity to come back and win this thing. And it was just as fast as it happened for them, it went against them and ended up fumbling the ball right back to them. And that was pretty much the game after that. But
just a good defensive play because he put his shoulder pad right on the ball and stood him up, which didn't give him a chance to do anything with it. He couldn't drop to his knees and get the ball because he's kind of stood up and stalemated, which it was just a heartbreak. Everybody's like looking at each other like, did that really just happen?
I was just going to say that.
We're all looking at each other like,
yeah. Talking about the stands being so loud, and that I think when that happened,
oh man,
their sideline was going nuts, obviously. But I think on the Liberty Center sideline, you could have heard a pin drop. There was everybody was just like the air went out, like you were like, oh my god.
Everybody pretty much knew at that point that was it. That was it. That was the game over.
At that point, my heart just broke for Liberty Center because absolutely. After they got the ball back, I'm like, oh, they're for sure scoring. Yep. They had all the momentum in the world. They're going to drive down the field. They had
40-yard line.
They had all the timeouts. They're going to punch this thing in, and unfortunately, things don't always go the right way. And really, you look at that game, and it could be decided by a couple plays. Like even look at Sean Terry hurdle. Like if he were even just to get tackled. I mean, Sean Terry had 300 all-purpose yards. He had 3 touchdowns, and he pretty much
he tackled on that touchdown at the end, which made the score look a little worse than what it was. But it is what it is. And I was kind of laughing. I was talking to somebody at work about it, and they're like, yeah, that was kind of BS of him trying to score right there. And I'm like, I thought that at first, but then I thought, after he fumbled the ball the last drive, I think it's better to go up another score if I can. I'm not going to slide down and run the clock out. Let me just in case we would do something stupid and fumble the ball again. So putting the other touchdown on the board was probably a good thing to do at that point. It's like, okay, I'll get 2 scores on you, and now put the game away. But
and that was what Ironton's first title since 89 or they won in 79, won in 89. Is that what it was?
I think it was the 80s.
So that was something too coming out of that game because the last time Liberty Center had won was 1997, I believe.
Yeah.
So these were 2 teams that hadn't won a state championship in a long, long time, and it was interesting. We talked to a fan as well. Kind of feeling out what Ironton had to bring to the table. We were in the elevator with him, and we had our NWO Sports gear on. He's kind of like eyeballing us up and down, trying to figure out where we're at or what we're doing. And so he got to talking to us, and he said he was kind of nervous going into that game. They had never faced a team as physical as Liberty Center all year long, and they really didn't have any comparison, and they were really nervous. And they said, when they get in big time situations, sometimes they choke and.
And honestly, they kind of did with a fumble. They kind of almost gave it away right there, but unfortunately, Liberty Center couldn't capitalize on it. But for me, Coach Moeller and the boys, fantastic season. I just keep looking back, and we've said it here 100 times. They lost so much. How are they going to rebuild? And then the next year, like last year, they got, holy crap, they went to the state. And then, they lost everybody again. You're like, man, oh, man, and I quite possibly think this year was better than the last 2 years. You know what I mean? If that's possible.
Yeah. They played really well as a team. And I think, even starting back a couple of years ago, that senior class, they kind of set the precedent now to what Liberty Center football is now. Similar to Marion Local, where the fact that you start making it down to state, year after year after year, and that's contagious. More kids want to come out, and I believe Coach Moeller said this is the most kids that they've ever had come out with, low 70s in terms of playing the game of football, which is a good problem to have, a good thing to have when, numbers are dwindling around the area for football programs. So, I think Liberty Center is just going to continue to do what they do. And, they're to the point where there's a standard set at Liberty Center, and you don't even contemplate not, fulfilling that standard. I can tell you, any of those kids, coaching staff, fans, no one in their mind is going into a season where they expect to lose a single game. You know what I mean? What were you saying, AJ?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think next year they're going to be a pretty good powerhouse too. They've got Cruz back, they've got Moeller back, they've got Spangler back on the line. They've got some big athletes, big names on that team coming back. Yeah, they lose a lot, but again, like you said, they've lost a lot the year before that too. So I think they have gotten their program to the point where it really is just keep reloading each year. I kind of said it off air a little bit ago. It seems like every year they've got a really big lineman that they rely on that kind of helps coach the next group in. a couple years ago it was Box, then it was Bockelman, and then Navarre's in there, and then this year it was like Zeider was up there, but then you also have Spangler kind of right behind that. So it's like, who's going to be the next year? Spangler's probably going to be leading that front a little bit. Who's going to be right there next to him? What's going to happen with that? You still have two of the best running backs in Northwest Ohio coming back behind you.
Yeah.
You don't really necessarily have to worry about quarterback as much because you're pretty much just a run team.
Yeah.
So I think next year is going to be another powerhouse Liberty Center.
And I want to make one point with Liberty Center, and it comes from Xander Zeider. In my interview I had with him at Lake,
Yeah.
One of the first things that he said, that none of this would be possible without our scout team and the underclassmen. And
Amen.
He thanked them, and I think that is the biggest, one of the biggest factors that contributes to Liberty Center football is, the seniors, and it does go on in other schools where seniors kind of pick on the underclassmen and they don't really treat them the same. But and granted, we're not coaches, we don't sit there, but you can kind of tell by the demeanor that they take these underclassmen, they take these guys that are maybe scout team, and they take them under their wing and they teach them the ropes. And I think that's what really helps to drive Liberty Center football too. And, Coach Moeller had said even in his post-game press conference, I don't know if you guys got a chance to listen to some of that, but he basically talked about, guys waiting their opportunity to play here and there. And, not all these kids start as freshmen or sophomore. A lot of times it's, it could be juniors or seniors where they start. And, the same goes for Marion Local too. I listened to Tim Goodwin's post-game interview in the championship game. And he talked about, even those seniors, not a lot of them, necessarily played a lot of snaps as underclassmen either. So I think that's a big thing too, is they just get so much buy-in from the kids. And, whether you're not playing right away, in today's day and age, everyone wants instant gratification.
Absolutely.
And they want to play right away. And if they're not playing, they're either transferring schools or they're not playing the sport, which is it's unfortunate because to be a part of something great like a state championship type caliber team like Liberty Center that's something you'll never experience ever again in life. Like, it's just incredible. The things that you learn from the sport and being a part of a great team like that, those are things that you're going to take off the field for years to come. And I think Liberty Center does a really good job at that. And they kind of take everyone on board. Everyone's on the same train. There's no strays. And, tend to see that with other schools around the area. People kind of deviate away and, you kind of get, like a me rather than we mentality, and
don't see that there.
Kind of goes from there. So
hats off to Casey, Dick, and that coaching staff. They're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, all the coaches are great, and always appreciate them too. At the end, they are so thankful. And, same with all.
Always come up and say hi.
All the coaches that we covered. From when I was at Fairview, Coach Rakes, thanked us, for media coverage, and same with Coach Schaefer and Ned and all those guys, and great. It's just awesome too that everyone is part of this thing together, and everyone's appreciative of what everyone puts into this whole picture.
Right.
So
Definitely.
Keith, do you have any comments on the last game for Liberty Center State?
No, I had the chance to listen to it on the way to Napoleon because that's when Sonora and Napoleon played that Saturday night. So I was listening to Dave Kleck on the radio. I got to Napoleon. Didn't cover the JV game, so I had it on my phone trying to watch. And a couple of people come up there, we were watching it and everything, and the same thing. It's just like it was heartbreak. You feel the pain from everybody, the whole team, and the community. But hey, there's nothing to be disappointed about. Disappointed in the moment, but you have a lifetime of memories, and the entire community. I saw Coach Moeller talk to him briefly at the girls' game Saturday. I congratulated him and wished him, hey, wish you the best, and he made everybody in this area proud of you. Your team's amazing, and there's nothing to be disappointed about. So, but yeah, I wish I could have joined you guys. Yeah. Unfortunately, I missed like 6 weeks of my life, but yeah, I missed all the fun times. But getting back healthy, so but yeah, a heck of a game. By Liberty Center just came up short to the loss to Ironton. So
I thought this was pretty cool. I just wanted to share. You talk about lifetime of memories and things like that. To put in perspective on how tough it is to get to the championship game. So I had put this out on social media a while ago, and it kind of blew up. It's just a stat, and Coach Moeller actually referenced it. He didn't say who it was from, but talking about the stat from how many percent of teams in the entire state are still playing football, and I thought that was cool that he brought this up, but. I posted for those teams practicing, and this is Thanksgiving, so this would have been state semifinals at this point. They're one of 28 teams still playing in the entire state at that point. There are 711 teams in the state that play 11-man football, with only 28 of the best left. That's 4% of all teams in Ohio. I mean, you break it down, and then down to the state, there's only 7 teams left. So, that's probably under 1% or 1% or less, probably. So that's absolutely incredible, and I mean that's something that you cannot take away from anybody. Even you look at teams like Hillsdale making it all the way down to state too, and I mean they got blown out by Marion Local, but that's still an incredible.
Still the second best team in their division.
Exactly. So, absolutely incredible run. Liberty Center I think is still going to do big things in years to come too. So
I look forward to seeing them next year.
Yep, make it a yearly tradition. I mean that'd be pretty cool. So hopefully some other teams in the area can join as well.
Absolutely.
So.
Yep.
One last comment I had. I just want to thank Mark and the guys from Tiger Sports Live. Just the welcoming atmosphere they had for us. That was like our first stop when we got up there for the LC game. We went right up and saw those guys. Ran into Michael Hearn too, briefly as he was leaving. Just the support that they give us, and hope to kind of work with them a little bit through the off season here and kind of shoot ideas back and forth. And that's why I love the community so much, because it's not so much about, I want to be famous or I want to do this. It's like, how can we help the kids the best? So we all work together to make this happen. Yep. Even if we're from different schools, different communities, we like to see each other succeed.
Absolutely.
That's the same with like Michael Hearn too. I caught him on the way out, and I texted him all down at state. And I wanted to try to get a chance to go up and run to him, but things just didn't work out because we were both kind of busy. Yeah. Obviously, he was busy broadcasting, and we were kind of doing some things down there too, going to the Hall of Fame Museum. But even just I borrowed some of his audio to make a Marion Local video, and
that was great.
That was awesome. We kind of collaborate together. Same with LC Tiger Sports Live. I had the video, they had the audio. I matched up, and you make one really cool video for the kids and things like that. So
we'll have Mark's going to join us Saturday night. It'll be Liberty Center's first basketball game, so Mark will join us during the game Saturday night when me and Coach were doing the boys' game versus Holgate. Michael shot us a message. I think it was a little after half. He goes, "Hey, I'm listening to you guys here. You guys are doing a great job." So we all listen to each other, help each other out. Like AJ says, we're not trying to outdo each other. We're just collaborating to see how we can make things better for the kids, and that's the bottom line. So
that's exactly what it is. The bottom line is trying to help get the kids to get some coverage and that they deserve.
I think that pretty much covered everything. Good thing you brought that up. I guess, we covered everything, and we didn't even touch on the state championship game, so we had to talk about that. Yeah, no, that's a good point. So, but now, like I said, we'll kind of get into the NWO Sports all-area football team. So I'll kind of reel off the names and who we ended up voting for these different accolades, and these guys will maybe talk a little bit on the points, and we'll just roll through the big awards, the first team and the second team, and like I said, honorable mention will be later on. So let's start with the Offensive Player of the Year for NWO Sports. We discussed this, but I think there was one clear front runner for us. This kid dominated. One of probably the better careers as a running back in Northwest Ohio. Rewrote the record books for his own school too. And this is going to go to Trent Barraza, Columbus Grove running back. He just dominated, and I've never really seen a running back like him in the area. His vision, his elusiveness. I was glad to see him get recruited by Finley too. Yeah. We did some texting back and forth, and texted Coach Allen a little bit. And like I said, I would hate for someone like with his talent level to get overlooked in Northwest Ohio because this kid is next level. Yep. We've talked time and time again about how talented this kid is, especially you get him in a weight room and you get him on a college meal plan, and he's only going to get bigger, faster, stronger. And he's going to dominate at the next level. There's no doubt in my mind. So I was really glad to got a chance to see him play a few times, and now that he's starting to get some more college looks like he deserves.
Absolutely.
And like we had said before too, he's a legitimate football player.
Definitely.
His knowledge and everything else. So he is going to be our Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year, Trey Rubenstein from Napoleon defensive back. We kind of discussed this back and forth, and again, another solid year from Trey. He's just one of the better athletes in all of Northwest Ohio. There's a reason he's a 3-star recruit. He's a Division I recruit. He's going to Kent State. So very, very solid, especially playing at a bigger school like Napoleon. Napoleon's kind of like one of the smaller guys in the Cardinal division of the NLL, and he continues to produce week after week. I think he's deserving again, and I believe he won our Defensive Player of the Year last year as well, too.
I think so.
Back-to-back award winners for that, which is really impressive, too. Coach of the Year, we had debated. There's probably two coaches that this could have gone to back and forth. But we ended up going with head coach of the Liberty Center Tigers, Casey Moeller. You know, if you lead your team down to a state championship game 2 consecutive years in a row, they have dominated, you know, all kinds of, football in Northwest Ohio over really the last probably 4 or 5 years. Yep. And have taken care of business. And I think one thing about Coach Moeller we talked about, I mean, I like his work ethic that he puts into the coaching up the kids. And he is very humble, by, when he has to talk, you hear him in postseason or post-game press conferences and things like that. I mean, he just puts his head down and he goes to work, and you can tell he really cares about the kids. Yeah. And, I appreciate that a lot out of him. But I think I don't think there's a better candidate you could have asked for to follow up Rex Lindgren at Liberty Center football. I mean, Coach Moeller, he's a great guy. He's a great coach. And, I think, again, he's going to continue to have a lot of success at Liberty Center. So he's going to be our coach of the year. Lineman of the year is going to go to Grant Smith from Patrick Henry. Playing defensive line. Again, he's a big kid. He's got a big frame. He's going to be going somewhere big, and I think in college. I think he's got a lot of potential. I like him a lot. Though I know he didn't have maybe as many sacks as he did the prior year before, he still tore things up. I watched some of his games, and I watched him singled out, and one of the best get-offs I've seen in a while out of a defensive lineman. And he was a trouble and terror on the defensive line for many teams. So he's going to win Lineman of the Year for NWO Sports. And then Iron Man of the Year, I'm going to have the fans submit this. Again, this award is going to go to someone who has maybe faced some adversity. Things weren't the easiest this year, whether it be an injury or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. I'll have some submissions for that, and then we'll release that award as well. So, guys, what are your thoughts on the Players and Coach of the Year?
You said it all, Logan. That's I would take any of those players.
Yep. Yeah, not much more to add to it.
Yeah,
I would give anything just to coach underneath Casey for a couple of years and just absorb.
I mean, the bad thing is we don't get to see Barraza have another career at the high school level, unfortunately, but he has a bright future, as Logan says. We do get to, however, see Coach Moeller coach more Liberty Center Tiger football.
Right.
So, but that's an excellent selection. You couldn't go wrong with either one of those. I mean, there's definitely 100% all eyes on those two. So.
All right, well, we're going to release our first team, all NWO Sports on offense. So we'll roll through. We have quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight ends, offensive line. So we'll roll through this. And depending on the position group, we have different amounts that we had voted for. This is something that we've done the last couple of years. So let's start with quarterback. So first team, we're going with William Zedike from Fairview and Kyler Sapp from Eden. Running back, Trenton Barraza from Columbus Grove, Waylon Rentz, Liberty Center, Anthony Wilder, Defiance. Wide receiver / tight end group, Trey Rubenstein, Napoleon, Logan Olinger, Fairview, Blake Roanhouse, Paulding, Max Radabaugh, Eden. Offensive line, Kylan Mays, Columbus Grove, Brady Giesecke, Liberty Center, Clayton Seal, Liberty Center, Tyler Lay, Liberty Center, and Adrian Delgado, Patrick Henry. Guys, if you just want to maybe talk about a little bit of some of these guys or, anyone that you had in particular. And
I'm just telling you, I would take that team and play anybody. Those quarterbacks, those running backs, the receivers. Let's go play.
I have a funny kind of story a little bit about Waylon Rentz. It was after Oak Harbor, I believe. Coach kind of wrote him a little bit and was like, hey, what was going on? Why did he not have as good of a game as he had? We end up at the Edison game the following week. One of the coaches comes up and he's like, yeah, you were right. He didn't have a very good game. Had some choice words. He's like, but we got that taken care of. And I'll tell you what, Waylon Rentz came out and just pounded the ball against Edison. And we spoke to him after the game, and he is one of the best personal athletes, on the personal side of things. He took that criticism to heart and used it rather than shutting down like some kids would. He had a fire lit underneath him coming out in that game, so it was really cool.
He even brought it up. He was I told him, hey, I know I kind of rode your butt last week in a podcast. I said, I want to let you know you played a heck of a game. He goes, yeah, I heard you. I was like, oops, all right, but just glad to see he took that. He took it to heart. We're not meaning it being mean or anything, and I'm glad he did it the right way. And the next week he was a beast. So
he uses his motivation. I mean, that's
all
good
we
for
ever
him.
need to buy.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's move on to the anyone else you guys want to make any comments about?
I'm good.
I think the only other one, maybe I want to say something about too is, talking about the offensive line in Liberty Center. I know this was a big talk too. Is how did some of these kids from Liberty Center not get any higher accolades on All Ohio?
That's amazing.
Brady
It really
Giesecke
is.
got third team, but you look at Liberty Center's offense, and it was one of the best rushing offenses in the entire state in Division V, and you only get one kid that made it on the offensive line. I don't think anyone else got honorable mention for offensive line.
I think that was
other than
it.
Giesecke. So
That's the one.
absolutely, kind of. I don't know what to think about it. I mean, all I know is that writers from the media get on it, and I tell you what, they need more writers from Northwest Ohio, or at least media members. Maybe we could get on it somehow. I mean, geez, we cover the area, just as much as anyone else. And hopefully we could vouch for these kids a little bit more from our neck of the woods. So they definitely deserve it. First team, all NWO Sports defense. We're going to start with linebacker. We got Joey Robinson from Defiance, Waylon Rentz from Liberty Center, Cohen Hulbert from Eden. Really three solid linebackers there. I mean, each of those kids are tough as nails. Defensive line, Grant Smith from Patrick Henry, Xander Zeider from Liberty Center, Kylan Mays from Columbus Grove, and Alex Homeyer from Tenora. Another great group of kids here. Defensive back, Trey Rubenstein, Napoleon, Lincoln Krieger from Patrick Henry, Cam Colley from Liberty Center, and Braden Leppelmeyer from Edgerton. Leppelmeyer kid had what? How many interceptions, Keith, did he finish with?
Braden Leppelmeyer wound up with 11 interceptions.
11 for the year.
Yeah.
And granted, I know people could say, well, maybe, competition level, this or that. But to get 11 interceptions in the year, that's pretty incredible.
Still
I don't care who you are. I mean, you got to be a ball hawk to get 11 interceptions in a season.
Yeah.
So.
And you got to catch them. I mean, that's the thing.
Right.
Defensive backs, sometimes miss interceptions. That's why they're
at
DBs.
At some point, too, they start throwing away from.
Right, yeah.
You start getting a scouting report,
Yep.
like, okay, he's got 6 picks so far this season. Let's maybe not throw in that direction very often. So for him to continue to get those picks is impressive.
Which I think he was honorable mention All Ohio.
Yes,
I believe
you're correct. Any other comments on this group here, guys?
Nope.
All right. Then first team all NWO Sports special teams. I know people are going to say we're biased, but again, he's one of the few kickers in the area that was all state for kicking. But that's going to go to kicker and punter. First team, Jacob Bishop from Tenora. He's solid all year long. And I know the stats may not always reflect, how he is as a kicker. We were talking about this too. Tenora used him in terms of strategy. If they had the ball and they were in basically on their half of the field and they weren't in the red zone, they were going to kick a field goal, because in high school, if you miss, it's just a touchback.
As long as the ball goes in the end zone.
As long as the ball lands in the end zone. So, I mean, basically it's as good as kind of a punt, I guess you could say.
If you punt the ball and you guarantee you're going to pin him inside the 10, then it's worth punting. But
if not, might as well take a chance and get 3 points.
Yeah.
And if not, then they're playing from the 20-yard line. So, but he made a lot of field goals throughout the year. I'm trying to think, didn't he have one game that he kicked quite a few? Wayne Trace game, he ended up kicking the game-winning field goal.
Game-winning field goal.
Yeah,
Yeah, he made the game winner.
Oh,
on
he
that
had
one.
3, I think, against Hicksville, maybe?
Yes, I think it was Hicksville.
Hicksville. He had 3 field goals.
Oh, he had one game winner against Hartsville, but that didn't count. So we're not going to talk about that anymore.
Right, the infamous field goal.
Bury that.
But solid out of him, and we covered obviously Tenora all year long. We're going to get into second team all NWO Sports on offense. At quarterback, we're looking at Lincoln Krieger, Patrick Henry, Owen Espinoza from Napoleon. Both really solid kids. Owen Espinoza actually rewrote the record books at Napoleon, and
Yes, heck of a season by Owen. I mean,
great,
really
great
was.
job out of Owen, and
Definitely.
he was solid for Napoleon all year long, and kind of someone that performance wise, I mean, he was tearing things up, but you really didn't hear his name all that much. I mean, we brought him up, and obviously he won NWO Sports Player of the Week.
Yep.
But again, kind of a quiet senior year, but really, I mean, he deserves more recognition. I mean, he was pretty solid. I guess I didn't see what his season stats were to finish.
Threw for nearly 2,500 yards, and he had 19 touchdowns.
That's pretty solid.
Yep. At the high school level, that's a fantastic.
And playing
season.
in the NLL, which is a tough division or a tough conference to play in as well. Running backs for second team: Garrison Cruz, Liberty Center; George Eggers from Napoleon; Landon Lintermoot from Delta. 3 really, really good running backs, and they're not afraid to take on contact, and that's for sure. Wide receiver / tight end group: Gavin Mead, Fairview; Scotty Krantz from Edgerton; Wyatt Smith from Wauseon; Colton Robertson from Evergreen. Offensive line: Austin Haley from Ottawa Glandorf; Ty Meyer from Columbus Grove; Romeo Valle from Defiance; Brady Smith from Delta; and Hunter Bosselman from Tenora. So, guys, thoughts on the second team all NWO Sports offense?
Again, I mean, that's a great second team. So, you put those two teams together and go play like you think about it as a college team. You had all those kids on your college team. You're going to have multiple quarterbacks, multiple running backs. That's a pretty good group of kids.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think some of these, really, some of them get kind of tough.
Yeah, we talked about.
We only give so many spots.
90
that you can,
minutes, probably.
So many spots that you can have on first team and second team, and honestly, a lot of these guys you could make a strong argument to be first team as well too. So it's just
especially like Owen. Breaking records and stuff. It's how do you not put him at first team? But then you look at who is first team. It's like, how do you make that cut? Where do you draw that line at?
Well, that's why we sat here and talked for quite a while about all these. But they're all great athletes. We're going to move on to second team All NWO Sports defense at linebacker Garrison Cruz from Liberty Center. Again, he's a solid athlete both ways of the football. Kevian Kreider from Patrick Henry, Stephen Brogan from Liberty Center. Defensive line, Jaden Punches from Patrick Henry, Hunter Bossman from Tenora, Hunter Spangler from Liberty Center. Defensive back, Grady Miller from Liberty Center. Will Roots from Evergreen, Ty Lammers from Lipsick, Grant Eversole from Columbus Grove. So, guys, thoughts on the group here?
I just look at some of those names and going, it's like we just said, hard to believe that they're on the second team because there's some good athletes.
One name, Garrison Cruz, he's on second team for offense and defense.
And he's just a sophomore.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. He's just a sophomore. And you look at who he's behind,
right?
What kept him out of, first team and where he stands going into the next year and even the year after that, where he could end up being.
Yeah. When it comes to running back for him, the stats that he put up, and they were splitting their carries three ways at Liberty Center between Rentz and Cruz and Muller. So those guys all had 800 yards. 900 yards.
You look at his overall numbers for Garrison, 87 carries, which is the least in the leaders in the area. 929 yards. 12 yards per carry, and 15 scores.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
He's a beast. Insane. There's no doubt about it.
It really is.
But all solid players there.
Yeah, definitely.
Second team kicker, we were going to go with Evan Vieroff from Columbus Grove. I believe his older brother is
Reese.
I imagine they're related somehow.
Marshall,
Reese,
I think,
Reese was really good, but Evan is a solid kicker as well. And punter Corey Herman from Edgerton led the area in average, at least from some of the stats that we were able to find.
Yeah.
So. Just
under 42 yards per kick.
But that concludes first and second team, and we'll release honorable mention as well. But great group of kids, and again, we just like to do this. Give some extra recognition to some of these athletes in the area that are deserving, and I'd be interesting to like I think Tony had said in the past, play an all-star game with a lot of these kids from the area. That'd be awesome.
Put them on Madden, I guess.
That's right.
Put your own team and names in there.
So. I'll release all that stuff on social media later on as well too, just to give more publicity for that. But guys, I think that pretty much concludes everything for the podcast. Just wanted to get together and talk about some recaps of the playoffs and our experiences. And the season's been a great one. That's been for sure. And just to thank the other day, we started in August and had the kickoff show and eating all kinds of good food from Matt Bishop.
That's great.
Here we are right before Christmas, finishing it up.
I know.
I mean, for me, since we're winding things up here, like some of these kids, these names we're never going to say on this podcast again, unless it's in the future, about some part of the school history. But every single one of these, whether you're named or not named, you're going to be remembered in your community for a long time after this, even though you're not going to put the pads and jersey and helmet on again. And, like we said, your name will be gone, from the weekly podcast. But, you gave everybody here, so many memories.
Yeah.
Just watching highlights of you. And then like Logan, spends hours upon hours doing the recap. And we read your name on here every single week. Then we talk about you for 5 seconds or 2 minutes. It doesn't matter. You still made a difference in our lives, your fans' lives. And more importantly, the younger kids that look up to every single one of you. They see you from afar walking Friday in your jersey to class, and they're like, I want to be like Lincoln Krieger someday, or Waylon Rentz, or anybody. All the little kids look up to every single one of these kids that we talk about on this podcast that are now seniors, all football season. So
absolutely,
that's something too. And I kind of piggybacking off that, Keith, like there's a reason why I follow high school football more than anything else. And I mean, I'm sure you guys can attest to it the same. Like, these are kids that are going out there and they're playing for the love of the game.
Yep.
They're not playing, college, where they're in college football is great. And so is the NFL and all that, but those guys are getting paid millions of dollars and this and that. But I mean, these are kids that get to go out there and play for their communities and play for the love of the game and, make bonds that, you don't get in other things. And football is different than any other sport. And I played baseball, basketball, football, and just the life lessons that you learn from football, and to be a hard worker and to face adversity and, to be resilient. Like, there's so many lessons in football that can't be replicated in other ways. And I mean, I think that's why football is the greatest sport on earth. And I think Coach H once said, and I think it was my last year for Meet the Teams, where we all get together, and he said, I think Coach H said football is the greatest sport on the planet Earth. And don't quote me on this. It was something along the lines, but he pointed to me being one of the bigger kids on the team. And then he points at, I think it was like Jordan Bowers, who's like 5'3", $110, a game that two guys like this can be on the same playing field and each have, a strong impact for the game. And, you get guys from all walks of life playing the game of football too. Geez, I remember going to college and, you get guys from Northwest Ohio like me, and then you get inner city kids and from all kinds of backgrounds, and to come together and to play on a team. And I mean, you really have to rely on everyone, all 11 guys on the field, to win a football game. And it's just amazing. I think, Keith, you had a really good video that you had of Kirk Cousins that talked about. He played in the NFL, played at Michigan State. He's a pretty big time quarterback, but you can touch on this if you want.
Yeah, no, he was just going back through all the highlights of his career through the NFL, which he's played probably a decade now, and his time at Michigan State. And he says, hey, there's nothing like high school football. Putting on that jersey, going out there on a Friday night, supporting your community. He goes, that's the best days that I've ever had. And there was a video that I was pulling up while you guys were talking, I saw over the weekend. Dolphins linebacker Anthony Walker. You see videos of NFL teams that, the quarterback will gift their linemen big expensive gifts, and they look at it and they're like, oh, hey, thanks a lot.
Right.
Well, Anthony Walker went back and did a lot of research. He gifted everybody on his team a replica of their high school jersey. And if you watch this video, it's a minute and a half. All these kids act like they're 7 years old and just got the best gift they've ever been given.
Really? Yeah,
it is. We can watch it afterwards. Logan, I'll give it to Logan. He can post it after this. But all these athletes that are probably 25, 30 years old are just celebrating, running around the locker room, putting on their high school jersey. Wow. It was like the best gift that they've ever been given as an adult. Wow. So
That's awesome.
It's pretty awesome to watch.
Well, you think about it too, like in high school, basically all you have to do is worry about, just being a good person, getting good grades, things like that. I mean, now we all know, you got to worry about paying bills and paying mortgages and all kinds of other utilities.
Raising little ones. And
raising, younger kids and, all kinds of things. In high school, you just got to worry about being a kid and, enjoying life. And, that's the best thing about it. I mean, get good grades in school. That's a big thing, that will help you out a lot in life. And, obviously do your best at everything you do. And, that's why I really like watching high school sports it's just unlike any other level. So,
yeah. You guys really said it all. I just, I want to thank everybody that we've ran into over the season, and the hospitality that we've gotten from all the ADs. We go to other facilities, and the hospitality we've gotten, with following Liberty Center and following Columbus Grove and PH and all the teams through the playoffs. It's really awesome, and the other broadcast teams that we run into, LC Tigers Live and
My Sports Live,
My Sports Live,
like that,
Michael Hearn and everybody. Just kind of like I said, building a little camaraderie between us, and started off the season at Columbus Grove where they thought they made that joke about us being the Anchorman cruise and get ready to fight. It just started. That was the kind of
Miles.
That started the season off just right. So it was kind of just the way it works. But no, I want to thank everybody for just letting us be a part of it.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I just want to say, one final thank you to all the support that we've gotten. It's amazing to see the growth for something with NWO Sports that started off with me and my brother Bryce creating power rankings. And, I was in college, and, I remember, before football games, Saturday mornings, I'd be looking through the stats and all the newspapers and stuff and, finding the top players and doing a player of the week and promoting these kids. And, I was doing that before my games in college, and to see where it's growing now, we have a podcast, and things are growing more, and it's incredible, and just very appreciative of all the support that we get from everyone in the area, and in terms of growth, you look, we've probably doubled or tripled, even in the last year, so it's just amazing to see all the support.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's great, and you talk about almost kind of being a little bit of like kind of celebrity. Like, geez, we had talked. I think it was before the Marion local Columbus Grove game. I went to Walmart Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and I went to Menards and Walmart. And guy from Menards walks in, and I wasn't even wearing any NWO Sports stuff. And he goes, "Logan Bailey from NWO Sports." I'm like, "Yeah." I had no idea who this guy was. He said, "Love the podcast," and things like that. So that was pretty cool. And then we had a kid from Fairview. I didn't catch his name. Some guys yelling at me in the dark because all Walmart's lights were still off because they didn't adjust to the time change, so everything was like all dark in the parking lot. And some kids yelling my name, and I had no idea who it was. And I said, "Who's saying my name?" And he said, "From Fairview." He said, "I play football at Fairview." I said, "Oh, hey," and just said, "How are you doing?" And kind of went on our way. And you said you've ran into people too that have kind of talked about things.
At the turkey trot Thanksgiving morning, we're walking back, and somebody stopped me and started talking to me about the NWO Sports, and it's kind of neat to recognize their faces now, and which I don't know if that's good or bad sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, when I was moving Jaden into college this past fall, and I had my NWO Sports polo on, and some kid's like, "Hey, I got a player of the game shirt from you guys last year."
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah. He was from Edgerton. I forget his name,
awesome.
but yeah.
No, that's really cool. But it's just amazing to see that, and at least we know people at least like the show if they're bringing it up. At least they're not bashing us.
Yeah.
At least not bashing the show. They may bash the rating, the rankings that I put out there. Because geez, that's a whole nother podcast. And my coverage area and rankings, but we'll save that for another day. But
I don't know why you don't cover everybody in the state.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, come on, Logan, what's up?
I don't know. It takes us 4 hours a night to record these.
Yeah, no
and that's
kidding,
only
geez.
for 20-something teams.
Right. And this is a podcast that doesn't even have a script. You know what I mean? We're talking off air, and so. But anyways, I just wanted to say one last thank you to all the following and support, and then I'm going to thank these sponsors one more time too. So, any final words from you guys?
No.
No, it's
right.
we'll see everybody in August.
Yep, sounds good. Well, again, I'd like to thank all of our sponsors. Our primary sponsor, BSN Sports. We thank them for their sponsorship. Optimal Performance Fitness, Titan Sports, Marco's Pizza, Remax Realty of Defiance, Bat Stevens Body Shop, Burkholder Taxidermy, DeLarber Concrete and Hauling, Drop Zone Pizzeria, Tornora Rams Live, Jimenez Basketball Academy, NWO Basketball, Building with Faith Construction, Ensign's Pub, Paulding Pancake House. AJ, he was helped with sponsorship too. If you want to, I want to give you a plug, where you're at now and where people can find AJ for chiropractic care too.
Yeah. Just before Thanksgiving, we kind of shut down our office at Fairchild Family Chiropractic. Had a little bit of a change of pace with, the newborn and everything like that. We just decided we needed something a little bit more stable, and got a fantastic offer from Defiance Chiropractic. They, they've been mentors of mine for a long time. They had a couple spots open. They offered for Kayla and I to both join them and kind of merge our offices together a little bit. And it was kind of a mutual agreement between the two businesses, and it's working out fantastic. So
It sounds like it's working out too well. Apparently.
I don't know about too well, but it's working out very well. I'm really enjoying it over there. Dr. Kayla gets to have time with Mia while still kind of being in the office like one day a week. So she gets to play both roles, a little bit of a stay-at-home mom and still, delving into the chiropractic realm. So it's working out for just about everybody, and we love it. So if you want to find me now, you got to go to Defiance Chiropractic.
Yeah, so if you need a chiropractor, him or his wife Kayla
There
are your chiropractors to go to. So I just want to give you a shout out for that too,
Thank
AJ. So other than that, giving a special thanks to Jeff Batt, my grandfather, for letting us use this facility. Yep. He's always a huge support for, not only us, but, really anything in Northwest Ohio.
He's giving of everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one else like him that I know, and, definitely look up to him. Yep. I mean, he is one of the most thoughtful people I have ever known, so he loves helping people out too. So appreciate him for letting us use his facility here today and, all our podcasts. Stay tuned for the next NWO Sports Podcast in the near future, and thanks for watching.
See you.